What's up, everybody? It's your boy Fluffinutta back at it again with another video, and today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be doing a TV show review of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the show that just released on Disney Plus. I think it was January 29th. Should be about 10 episodes. I'm pretty sure. I didn't really know a lot about the show going into it. I kind of left everything out of my radar so I could be genuinely surprised. And this show is kind of a mixed bag for me, and I'm going to get into reasons why. But that being said, if you like today's video, be sure to hit that like button. Really does help out the channel. I'm really trying to do a lot of different stuff on the channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these reviews because this was genuinely fun. I may have issues with the show at some points, but I felt like this was really fun to do, and I can't wait to do more of these. This is also the announcement of my second channel, where I'm going to do a lot more long-form stuff. So if you're really interested in watching my initial reaction to the show, that'll be over on the second channel, probably unlisted, but you'll get the link to it in the description down below. It may take a little bit to get that uploaded compared to this one. This is just easier to do. Maybe I won't upload it at all. However, like gaming VODs, things that I don't want to edit and just want to get up quickly on that channel, I'm going to do that. That way you guys have some long-form content, almost like VODs. And then when I start streaming again, I can do those. But that being said, let's hop right into it. So this show, I was only able to watch the first 5 episodes. I'll do another video about the rest of the series. I will definitely be catching up on the rest of the series. It was very interesting watching. There was a lot of things that I enjoyed and I was really surprised by, but there was a few more things that I just felt like really didn't do the show justice. I felt like there was a lot of times you got taken out, right? When you watch entertainment, you kind of want to be immersed to the point where you don't necessarily shut your brain off, but you enjoy the characters, you enjoy everything going on, but there's a lot of times where you get to certain points and it takes you out of that because it leaves you with stuff so jarring, or critically you're just like, wait a minute, what the fuck just happened here, kind of thing. It's like some things land and some things don't, and I think that the problem with this show that I'm having is that it has a lot of times where I can see where they're going with things, but it just doesn't stick the landing, and I wish it would have had a little bit more time to refine that and give you things that doesn't make you feel like it just gives you that moment of like kind of cringe a little bit, at certain things. But overall, I like what they're doing with the show, and I like the ideas and the concepts that they've done. The art style is a big thing that I really enjoy about the show. The animation just feels like a comic book's coming to life off of the page, and they do the little border around the screen too to make you feel like it's a comic and it's moving like a comic. It really does look great. However, I've never really done a review before. I think I'm going to stick to the good stuff that I liked first, and then move into the the negatives and the stuff that I really didn't vibe with. So first of all, the art style, I said, was pretty good, right? Very decent, very good to look at. Very good to look at. Very pleasing to the eye. Really fucked with it. Really vibed with it. Especially when you get into the action scenes where it goes from 2D to more of like a 3D kind of vibe. And I'm still wondering how they did it. I'm wondering if maybe they used like Unreal Engine or something to like make 3D models and then really heavily like outline and like refine it to make it look 2D. But it really does give you a what if vibe to it, because you can kind of see where they were going, because originally this was going to be a prequel to Tom Holland's, and I really wish it would have stuck with that. That would have been really cool. However, they changed that, and I really think that even though it would have been cool to see a prequel to Tom Holland's, I still do want that. I feel like having this instead be its own thing, I feel like was a really good creative choice, because now you can separate yourself. And I really wish they would have changed a little bit of things more to not give you that that vibe that you can kind of tell that it was supposed to be the Tom Holland connection originally. I think that really shoots itself in the foot creatively, but that's just my own personal preferences, not really a negative impact on the show. Story-wise, I feel like this is okay representation of Peter. I found myself liking Peter. Not really a lot of emotional conflict really with Peter so far. I mean, the only really big spoiler alert, by the way, I should preface. I'll do spoiler alert at the beginning in editing, but this really has some mid kind of emotional impact with Peter so far. A lot of the emotional stuff comes through other characters rather than Peter. I really didn't find myself really having moments like, oh fuck yeah, that's cool, when it came to Peter. I more so found that when it came to one of the other characters, Lonnie, who actually is a younger version of Tombstone, which I really fuck with, I really vibe with. The way they wrote Lonnie was really cool, really solid. I really like the twist with him where you think he's going to be. I originally thought he was Flash Thompson, and I thought he was going to be this version of Flash, but I was genuinely surprised, and I like the way they're going with it. I really like how they told Lonnie's story, where he's an athlete and he looks like he's going to be the bully jock, but he's actually smarter than that, and I really liked that. And I liked how they leaned in on him, and it's not just focusing on Peter. I felt like that was a really good writing choice. Nico, I think her name is, Peter's friend. She's some form of hero in the comics. I'm not really quite familiar with her. I know she's also in Midnight Suns. I really liked her character. You could definitely get some Zendaya vibes from her. I wonder if she was originally going to be Zendaya's MJ, but I really like that it's not MJ, and we get to focus on a different character for this. I do hope that in the later episodes we get to see, or maybe in a different season, we get to see him actually do more with her and actually grow that relationship. I really like their chemistry and hope that they further evolve that in the future. But yeah, so far the extending cast is great, especially at the reveal of Norman Osborn. I think was really cool. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like Norman. I was gonna give it a chance, and I was genuinely surprised. When you first hear him talk, he gives a resemblance uncannily to Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, and you could hear that with the "Hello, Peter." It sounded like, you could tell it was different, but it didn't try to imitate Willem Dafoe's, if that makes sense. But when you hear it, it almost gives you that vibe, you know? You could tell that he could be Green Goblin. I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. And I liked that instead of it being Tony Stark, it was actually Norman that's coming to him with the internship. I didn't put that together on my first initial watch through. I rewatched this with my fiance, and I really enjoyed it on the second watch around. But I picked up a lot more things that I didn't like, sadly, when it came to that. Let's see. What is some more good about this? Not just between the first episode. Also want to preface, this is unscripted. I probably should have said that at the beginning. This is unscripted, and right now I'm using CapCut, and it's showing the recording I did, because I'm going to play it in slow motion and edit it down with cool parts, especially with parts that I'm talking about. You're going to probably see a lot of the fight scenes slowed down and just stood still on some cool moments I found. But yeah, back to the review. It's probably the bad thing about this being unscripted, but don't worry, this will be heavily edited. Let's see, other thoughts. I really liked Harry. Harry was pretty cool. We haven't really seen much of Harry within the first 5 episodes. I like the ties to the greater MCU. This is like a what if version of Spider-Man, which I felt was pretty cool. Yeah, I like the introduction of Doc Ock. I felt like that was pretty cool. I hope that we get to see Doc Ock versus Norman Osborn. That would be really cool. Damn, I really want to take this longer than 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure if I sat and thought about it, I could pull out a few more good things that I liked. I really liked the action sequences. The action sequences were great. At some points, there was other reveals in here that I felt like they did really well. The plot twists, I feel like, have all landed. And it's been pretty cool to watch. However, I think this is where I start to bring in my negatives about the show. And then I'll give each episode so far an individual ranking, and then I'll rank the series once all the episodes are out. But yeah, the negatives of the show. I feel like even though the art style is great, one of the biggest things I've noticed is that it has moments where it just doesn't look properly finished, if that makes sense. Like, there's a lot of times where the audio kind of feels like it's coming out of sync with the animation, or like the lips and the audio don't kind of match as you would think it would in an animated thing. I don't know. I can't quite place my finger on it, but it does feel weird at times, especially in the slower scenes. So the action scenes, I feel like it works great, but a lot of the slower scenes, it kind of has moments where it's a little bit jarring. Voice acting, there was a few times where the voice acting was kind of bland between characters. Like, for example, when you first watch episode 1, there's a scene with May and Peter in a car as she's driving him to school. I'm not sure how I really feel about the voice of Peter. Peter kind of sounds like he's like a 30-year-old trying to voice a teenager. I mean, I grew to like him the more I watched it, but I know there was a few times where it just didn't feel quite, I don't know, believable. It kind of felt like a little bit like an anime style, like, oh, geez. I think it did it more with, you know, I've noticed with, especially after Tom Holland, they do this thing where they talk like a bumbling, like, dork a little bit, where everybody talks like they have to stop and laugh a little bit and chuckle at themselves, kind of like this. You know, it's like that. I feel like he does a little too much throughout each episode. But I don't think that it's something that I can dog on it too hard. I feel like he does a good job overall as Peter, and I really like him as Peter. Excuse me. Yeah, I really like him as Peter. I don't think he's a bad Peter at all. I just there's a few times where it just feels odd, is all. Same with the animation. It's not just Peter either. There's, I think Doc Ock had some times where I'm like, ooh, that's a little bit wild. But still not bad. Let me think. Yeah, I think that's all I had to say about the voice acting. There is a little bit of some annoyances I have with some of the villains so far. I won't get into the big one just yet that I have, but I really liked the flamethrower dude. He was pretty cool. He was just a side throwaway that he can just put in jail. I really liked him. That fight scene was really cool. the two like boyfriend girlfriend, that set of characters, I really didn't like at all. One of the biggest issues I have with this Peter as well, he doesn't use his Spidey sense at all, I've noticed, and that could just be because he's a younger Peter, doesn't really tap into it, but that doesn't, like, that kind of feels like shitty writing more so than just like being an Elseworlds version of the character, because if you're just gonna have him not use it, don't have him have it at all, because it feels like sometimes he has it and he's able to dodge out of the way, but sometimes you can't tell whether that's because of his Spidey sense or it's because he's just dodging because he sees it, which is not how Spider-Man is, and that's like a big power that he has, and I feel like by taking that away from him, you kind of nerf him a little bit too hard. Like, with the way you want to do Spider-Man, right, you don't want to nerf him, you want to make the other villains a little bit more powerful, so he has more of a challenge and has to actually, like, you know, like, they go back and forth. Like, there's ways you could write it to where the villains can, like, still kick his ass. Like the fast dude, like what you do with the fast dude is you have him still run really fast, but you know, Peter can still try to dodge out of the way, but make him faster than Peter being able to move, right? That's how you solve that. Like, Peter senses it and he's about to move out of the way, but the other dude's just faster and can catch up to him. That's how you solve that issue. You know, him fighting the other chick, you know, that makes sense because she's able to slice the webs off. However, there was a time he could have just thwip, got them both, and she's unable to cut it, right? Because we see that's how he beats them at the end, right? So you got to change it around a little. That fight just was kind of wasted, in my opinion. It felt very ridiculous, and I know this is still a kid's show, but like, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then you have Norman, who is helping Peter, which I liked that idea. I liked the twist of him starting to help Peter. However, it falls short when he goes in to explain how to fight these two and defeat these two, but he what he says doesn't make sense. And in my initial reaction, I stopped and made a double take. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? What is he saying? How does he defeat? It didn't make sense. He goes in to say that, like, you know, when they get too close to each other, and then immediately he switches up, like, the fast guy. Listen to a frequency, and you'll be able to. He didn't even. It sounded like he finished his sentences. It almost felt jumbled and weird, almost AI written, weirdly enough. But yeah, that was one of the moments where I was like, what the fuck is he on about? That it definitely took me out of it, and I had to sit there and process, like, how this even worked, which I shouldn't have to do, because it should be a fight scene. Those should be like, you turn your brain off, you know, and then listen to how he's supposed to defeat him, right? And yeah, it just didn't sit well with me, because Peter kind of just does something that he could have done the whole time, which is just thwip them. Doesn't even fight them. They don't get into a fist fight. He backs up, does a few flips to dodge out of the way, and then just fucking webs them still. He doesn't throw punches. He doesn't do any of that. Kind of fucking wild. Definitely an L. One of the first fighting L's of the show, sadly enough. Oh, I forgot to mention the voice acting of Doctor Strange. I didn't fuck with the voice actor for Doctor Strange either. That one felt weird. But anyways, back to it. Yeah, there was just a lot of those moments in the show where I felt like was very weird. Now, another thing that I didn't really felt was necessary was the introduction of a female Dr. Connors. I really didn't like that. I felt like maybe she should have been her own character, because now it just takes away, you know, you lose a villain, number one, by it being that, but you also lose the potential to maybe make a new, and that's the thing, they make new villains for this, right? Which I would like, I wanted them to do, because it gives you a little bit more people to fight, but it also gives you a chance to add in something that we haven't really seen, which could be like a new mainstream villain, right? Which I feel like something like this has the potential to do well, is create us a new villain that we haven't seen before, and we don't actually get a lot of the time when it comes to these MCU heroes. We don't get new stuff, it's all redone. And don't get me wrong, I love bringing stuff in from the comics, but I like seeing new stuff with the character that he has to problem solve with, right? Because how many versions of the fucking Rhino are we gonna see? How many versions of the fucking Doc Ock are we gonna see? Like, these big hitters. Give us a new big hitter, you know? Give us something new. Sure, maybe a lot of people won't vibe with it, but at least you're not taking away an existing character. And I really think that brings any production down when you do that. You already race swapped Norman Osborn, and I feel like that's okay, giving the context of the character. And that's the thing. If you're going to do that with a character, right? Or race swap them, gender swap them, whatever, you want them to still feel like the original character. Her version of Dr. Connors doesn't feel like Dr. Connors, if that makes sense. I don't see her really as a mentor to Peter in the way that Norman is. Dr. Connors is supposed to be another mentor. Dr. Connors hasn't really been a mentor. She's been more of a like a required teacher, rather than someone who genuinely wants to help him. Now, when it comes to her, it felt like she's more just there to like make Bentley more neutral. And what I would rather have them do with her, don't actually make her the Lizard. Make the other guy, Bentley, have her turn him into a lizard. Right? And have her control these big armies of lizards. That would actually be really cool and a really different thing that I would actually prefer them doing, rather than making her turn herself into a female lizard. You know, or do that and then make her the female lizard, right? Like, just do something creative like that. Make it creative if you're going to do that, because right now it just feels very bland, and it takes away from the overall point of the show. And honestly, you could take her out of the show and it would be even better, right? Because you still have these great female characters that they introduce. I felt like it was a little bit unnecessary to have that character in as well, and to then race swap and gender swap the character, I felt like was very, very distasteful. Especially when you have these other diverse female characters in here already, right? I really felt it was unnecessary. Moving on, there was a moment where I was genuinely surprised, and I thought it was going to do like, and that's the thing too. You start getting in your head and wondering whether they're going to do more of that with other characters, and they tease you with that twice actually. And I made a joke about it watching it my initial first time through, because there's a scene with Lonnie where he gets picked on, and like he's getting hazed by his gang, and he goes into this shop with burritos and stuff, and it's a whole thing. But you get a glimpse of a chick with green hair and a scorpion tattoo, and this is where I initially thought that she was going to be the Scorpion, but then they reveal she's a part of a gang called the Scorpions, ran by the dude from Far Cry and Breaking Bad. The one, I'll put a picture on screen, but he's from Tom Holland's Homecoming movie, who is revealed to be who Scorpion is. That's a really cool detail. I feel like this adds a little bit more depth to him and to what he's been doing. I feel like some of these things you can put over to Tom Holland's and it can be similar. But yeah, I liked that twist. I just don't like that it took away from her as a character, because now you're wondering whether they're going to gender bender her. into being Scorpion. It was unnecessary, because I was more focused on that than actually thinking she was a cool character. And she does kick ass in episode 5 or 4 or whatever the fuck. I think it's 5. But she does end up being a badass, but you kind of overlook that when you're worried about that kind of thing, because it takes you out of it. It doesn't let you focus on the narrative or the story at hand. You get taken aback, and it's like jarring, right? Let's see. Oh, the Rhino. I need to talk about the Rhino, because that was the other one. It felt like there was like 3 so far where I thought that, like, and I had made the joke. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna get the side villains of his rogue gallery being like female versions. So I was like, we're gonna get a fucking female chameleon, or a female scorpion, female rhino, and then like towards the end of the episode, they had this Russian group of villains in a car. And I could be wrong, but the bigger guy kind of felt like it felt like the voice of Grog from Critical Role, which was very interesting. But I'm losing my train of thought here. She breaks out of the car and runs off, meets Doc Ock, which I felt like was cool. And then initially she gets a helmet with like a horn out of it, right? They're baiting you into thinking that it's Rhino. I really wish they wouldn't bait you like that. Like this show already has enough surprises and twists and turns. I don't feel like it felt gimmicky. It felt doing it just to do it. It's again another thing that takes you out of it rather than immersing you and entertaining you. I didn't find it entertaining. I found it annoying more than anything. Like it's insisting on itself when it does that, and it doesn't come off as like good, in my opinion. Let's see. I did like that she was her own hero, though. Or not hero, villain. I did like that they turned her into a different villain alongside Rhino. I felt like that was an interesting twist. She was pretty cool, and called the Unicorn too. Pretty cool. I could actually see that being like alongside Rhino. And they didn't show Rhino in his suit, but they teased it, which I feel like this Doc Ock is probably setting up the Sinister Six, which is interesting, and I can't wait to see that. However, it's just one of those things that falls in again of like just, man, like some of the decisions in this creatively, I feel like weakened it a little bit. Another thing that I really didn't fuck with was the whole situation of like Norman getting with Peter and working as his mentor and deciding to change how Spider-Man is. We had a big segment that really didn't need to be there of him like being completely different heroes, and that was weird. It was weird. It was lame. It didn't land the way I think they were intending it to. And it actually took away from Peter and Spider-Man during that, because I really didn't care what was going on with him and Norman and all of that as a plot line by that episode. And it was episode 4 where this happens. I felt like it took away from the episode. It really made it just be more of a hindrance rather than a really good thing. And overall, I think that's one of the main reasons I took that episode down a few notches. It really just did not land. It was cringy. It was just bad. Overall, I feel like that should be an episode that should have really had a little bit more time to figure out what to do with Peter, because he practically did nothing as Spider-Man during that. Very, very, very terrible. However, one of the saving graces of that part in the episode, or sorry, not that part, but during that episode, was Lonnie in Tombstone, as Tombstone, right? You get him doing more stuff for the gang, and anytime Lonnie's on screen solo doing gang shit, I really like that they made him a part of the gang. They're really gonna get you to care for Lonnie and then get you emotionally invested in him, so they can do the twist of him being, Tombstone, which in episode 5 you get him to be called Tombstone, which I'm glad that they did, and I was genuinely surprised when he became Tombstone. I really fucked with it, so I hope we get to see him somewhat like his comic form, where he gets super strength and shit, and then Spider-Man fights him. I hope they set that up really nice, but yeah, I really fuck with Lonnie as a character. He's really good, and this show has moments of being a good Spider-Man show. It just has way too many times where it shoots itself in the foot. And if I had to describe this show, I would say that this is an okay Spider-Man show with some moments of being, I would even say, a good Spider-Man show, but I wouldn't call this a great Spider-Man show. It shoots itself in the foot way too much than it needs to, and I feel like that really takes away from the show overall. Hopefully they can fix it with the last 5 episodes. Maybe I'll change my tune. But out of the episodes we've got so far, I just really find myself coming out of it. And I really would like to not come out of it, right? I want to, when I watch stuff like this, I want to be immersed into it. I want to get invested. I want to get, get involved and feel like I'm a part of it, like, as just a watcher, just going along and watching these stories unfold. It just doesn't do it smoothly in the way that I feel like it should. But that's just me. If I had to rank the episodes now, I would say that the first one is the best out of all 5 so far. I would rank that one at an 8 out of 10. It had some iffy moments in it, but it wasn't enough to really put it down any lower than that. It was only like very small things, like the voice acting feeling weird and just some other moments. Not bad. Really enjoyed that very first episode. I also really enjoy the intro. The intro is pretty fucking good. I love the intro. The music choice as well throughout the show is really good. But that being said, episode 2 I felt like was very weak. I didn't like the introduction of the lizard, like I've said previously. The lizard character, Mrs. Connors, if she even becomes the lizard, I really don't like her. I didn't like her as a character. I felt she was very weak and, for the most part, underutilized so far. I know she's kind of like a side character, but it felt unnecessary. To the point where I would rather the Bentley dude be the lizard. He even looks more like a lizard. But yeah. I don't know. That's not the reason why I ranked this one lower. That episode was also, it felt like it went really fast. And there was a lot of points I found myself blanking out of it because I was taken aback and taken out of it so much that I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? Yeah, I would rank this episode at a solid 5 for that. It dropped down quite a few. It felt more like filler. Not a lot kind of happened in that second episode that I felt like was worthy of a whole lot. Episode 3 was a bit of a step up. I will give it a 6 out of 10. It had a lot of better moments. However, a lot of the stuff with Peter, I really felt was really weak. And now looking back at it, Peter kind of feels, I don't know, man, nerfed. He feels nerfed with the whole Spidey sense thing. He doesn't really utilize his spider sense, which I feel like is weird. And they don't really, from what I've seen, they haven't really addressed that at all, which I feel like is disappointing. I liked the action scenes still, but I feel like the way he caught them was bad, which is why it dropped down from an 8 to a 6 for this one. I feel like episode 2 is worse than this one, just by a little bit. This one was a lot better, but it had its problems. The pacing felt weird, and yeah, this one did have a lot better storytelling. I'm pretty sure this is also the episode where you get the in-depth thing with Lonnie. That was really cool. I like Lonnie, like I said before. Lonnie's pretty dope. Episode 4 is the one that shoots itself in the foot the most. I really did not like that episode. The dialogue between Connors and Bentley was not, I feel like, not properly done correctly. I ended up actually feeling like he had a lot more aura than she did, especially when she tries to be a girl boss and knocks over the king with the queen. But then, I don't know, it didn't hit because, it's not how chess works. That was a little small thing, but it just took away from the episode, I felt. It was another unnecessary moment. She's like the queen of unnecessary so far. She's like one of the most unnecessary characters. Because that's literally the only other time we see her. It just didn't need to be there. But let's see. We spent a lot of time with Peter not really doing much as Spider-Man. I didn't like the costume designs that Norman was changing. I didn't like the whole thing of setting him up to be helping Peter, but then him starting to change Peter's hero when originally he liked Spider-Man. It doesn't make sense as to why he's changing Spider-Man as a whole, and what is Spider-Man? Why does it have to be Spider-Man? I don't know. Maybe because the show is fucking called Spider-Man. Maybe because he's Peter Parker. I didn't understand that part was another unnecessary moment, especially when the way you wrote him before, where he was all for Spider-Man. And I feel like if you were going to go down that rabbit hole of having him change the suit to be more like a Batman style suit where it's got armor, it's got guns, it's got more of a Tony Stark-esque Iron Man feel, right? Make it green to hint at the future of him becoming the Green Goblin. There was so much other things they could have done if they really wanted to use that, but it almost felt like an unnecessary side thing, because it felt like they really didn't know what to do with Peter while focusing on Lonnie. Lonnie felt, and still feels throughout all 5 episodes, a little bit more important than Peter, I felt like, which is odd. I felt myself actually vibing with that a little bit more. Let's see. Episode 5. Did I rank episode 4? Oh, episode 4 I would put at a solid... I would put this one down at a solid 4 out of 10. This was the weakest episode. I really didn't like the bait that they used. It felt very baity, very gimmicky. I didn't really fuck with it. It was another unnecessary thing. There's a lot of unnecessary moments in this, keeping it from being a great show. Episode number 5, I feel like is a better return to form. I feel like this one is a solid 7 out of 10. I really liked the whole lead up to Tombstone. I liked the fight between the 110th, I think is what they're called, the gang, and I liked the Scorpion gang fighting them. I also liked Harry and Peter working together, I felt like was very cool, setting up more of their friendship. I don't fuck with the white and blue suit. I feel like that's just another thing that I'm just gonna gripe about, because it feels, that's not like a suit that he should be using early on, right? Especially with this being a prequel. That's like, with Spider-Man, you want to save the cool suits like that, and don't get me wrong, it's a cool suit, but this early on, you should be saving the cooler suits more towards like bigger moments, because he doesn't use this suit for a big moment, right? It feels weird for him to have this kind of suit this early on. He should have his normal red and blue suit, and then build up to the white and blue, right? This should be like a season finale suit. I don't want to end the season finale with his red and blue suit, when you could have given us that and then given us the white and blue suit and have them use that for season 2. I felt like that would have been a little bit better. Because it is too cool of a suit to have for episode 5 of a 10 episode series. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I do overall like the episode. The episode was really good. I liked his I liked Peter here interacting more with his friends, which is something that he hasn't really done. He's been kind of ghosting Nico, if that's her name. I really like their relationship and their chemistry. And that Peter is still completely oblivious is really, really funny, and really good to still have him do. I can't wait for him to realize that she likes him. That's going to be really fun. But yeah, so far I would say this series as a whole, even though I'm only like halfway through it, it's honestly mid. I'm going to have to say it's mid. Which is sad, because at first I thought it was great, then it went to good, now it's kind of like mid, okay. It's okay right now. Hopefully they'll be able to bump it back up. I like a lot more of the specific moments in this more than I do the show overall, and I was really looking forward to it and was wanting it to be a show that I would like overall and like all of the show, but I only find myself really liking specific key moments rather than the thing in its entirety. But yeah, that's just my review. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and I'll be sure to update this when I have the full release of the series. So yeah, that's been my thoughts. Hopefully you guys enjoy these. I'll be definitely doing more of these, probably MCU related. I'll definitely be doing some DC stuff too, because I'm a DC fan. Probably Star Wars I'll eventually do, and I'll just talk about stuff like this. I want to talk about nerdy shit from time to time in between my gameplay stuff. Yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Thanks for stopping by. See you in the next one. Also, be sure to subscribe to the second channel if you want to see just other stuff. So, this is everybody. Bye-bye.